Well, hello, and welcome. It's Joyful Mondays. Every Monday at 3 p.m., we come to you live. Always a pleasure to be with you. I am Joy Ruffin, and I can say welcome over and over and over because I can never say it enough. I work as a leadership and style consultant, a signature style specialist, speaker, executive producer, TV host, and podcaster. And my joy, my pleasure is always in connecting and sharing a lot of information with you. Now, I have a featured guest that I'm going to bring up later, but for now, and we're going to be talking about colors. But I want to share something with you. We're going to be talking with my financial expert, more or less, and there's more that we'll talk about, and that's money, and money is green. But we're going to talk about colors, and you know I love quotes. So let's begin this way. And by the way, the work that I do, it's also as a personal development strategist, and everything's connected. Everything's aligned. You know that. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's always good when you come and share time and space with us. I have a question for you, and it's a quote too. Is color your best friend? And if not, how are you going to master it? Well, me loving quotes and hoping that you do as well, let me say this, and you know this, but oh, you need that resounding voice every now and then. Colors speak all languages. That's a short, succinct quote by Joseph Addison. And then tied into that, color is power, which directly influences the soul. And you know, we're always talking about the soul here. That was said by Wassily Kandinsky, Kandinsky. Woo, some of these names I love. And friends, I'd like to share this with you because I know you're going to love it. If the rainbow had an eighth color, it would be you. I love that one because you know there's a little color and a lot of color in all of us, no matter our ethnic. And that was said by Scarlett Lucia Ray, Rey. Now let me say this to you. Color is major, and color consultations, color workshops is what we do. And it's not only for women, for men too, but predominantly we work with women who are transitioning and wanting to amp up their wow factor. You can do whatever you want to do. As my friend often says to me, Joy, it's not you are invited. You're invited to really explore the language and the science and the art and the love of color. Because a lot of colors that you love might not love you back. And you want to find the right colors and build your wardrobe around it. You know, we love the word build here as well. The purest and most insightful and thoughtful minds are those which love colors the most. That was said by John Ruskin. There's so much that you can add on to that. And the reality, my friend, is that most of us love colors, and maybe all colors, which you know what I did until I had my color awakening. Because even though you love all colors don't love you back. And when you really get into the science of color, you'll see that. Now, I have 5 major colors that I work with. Most people have 3 to 5. Some people have a lot more, but you only really need 5, and then you build everything around that. And there's a color theory. And that theory is important because it's the art and science of how you use colors for you. And it's all about you. The physical and the psychological science behind color is amazing. And when we work together, you'll explore and learn a lot about that. I leave you with this assignment before we get going, and I introduce to you my featured guest speaker and share a little bit about what we do here. I want to leave you with this because this assignment is very crucial for you. If you care about style, not everyone does, but oh, we're in the casual mode here today. Yet, if you love style and showing up in a presence that speaks to your greatness, Les Brown said everybody has greatness in them. Well, people can't see it if you're not in your essence. Here's what I leave you with. Walk into your closet. Whether it's a walk-in closet or not, walk in there and twirl and turn and see, is it beckoning to you? Is it calling to you? Is it asking you and telling you how much it loves you and you're loving it back? Or are you like, oops, confused and not sure, and so on and so forth? How does it speak to you? Are you as excited to be in there as the clothes are to see you? These are all the things that we talk about, my friends, and it never ends. I want you to be thinking about your favorite colors. And then I want you to see and find out if they're the best ones for you. And we can do that together. That's what I love to do. And I love to do it as you explore colors for you. Now, today we're going to be talking a lot about everything that evolves around health, money, and wellness. And mostly we think green, don't we? We think green. So I just want to leave that seed with you. And now I want you, if you are not, as my friend often says to me, and I quote her all the time, she says, "You're invited, Joy." Don't say I want you. I say you're invited. You're invited to join our Facebook group, Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies. And if you're not a member, well, you belong there. Because here we have women who are all about their vision, their mission, and their purpose. And we celebrate each other. And it's all about a community that's growing together, collaboration, change, growth, connections. That's what we're about. All you have to do is take your screenshot or your snapshot and go. We're everywhere and join us because you can post and promote what you're doing, and it's a good group to be with. Now, I'm always talking about the soul and know thyself, and we talk a lot about that. So I want you're invited. I'm getting used to saying you're invited to take a shot here at this freebie complimentary that's offered to you, because here is something that's part of human design. We put it together for you. It's a great package. It offers you so much. If you really want to get a little bit more into detail about you, no matter what your higher persuasion or source might be, you can't beat this. It's a great booklet. And then my featured guest, we have a poster. I want to put it up. And friends, take a snapshot, take a screenshot. I'm going to bring up Conrad Williams in just a second or two, but I want you to really take a screenshot or a snapshot, even though this is going to be floating on YouTube and everywhere. And I want you to connect with this guy, and you're going to find out why when we meet. Now, sit back. It's the same dialogue every week. Relax, whatever that is to you, grab whatever makes you comfortable, because we're going to be talking about something that's interesting. But before I bring up Conrad, I want to give you a little bit about his background. Conrad Williams, Premier Insurance Agency. I don't know how many of you know, and if I share it with you, I was a commercial insurance agent at one time. Fashion and insurance, what a combination, right? He believes that knowledge is a cornerstone of wealth creation, and so do I, and I bet you do as well. He's esteemed president of his own corporation, the Premier Insurance Agency. He has a steadfast commitment to empowering families through financial literacy and comprehensive coaching. There's so much more about this man. This is a very knowledgeable, wise humanitarian who's doing great work. And all I want you to do, I could go on and on about his background, but you want to meet him. And so do I. I want to bring him up now and say, welcome. Hello, Conrad, and thank you for coming to share time and space with you. How are you today?
Thank you, Joy, for inviting me to your podcast. It's a
I
fantastic day.
I am honored to have you here because I love the work that you're doing and what you're doing with financial literacy for so many people. And I wish back in the day I'd gotten to know you back then. It would have been whatever, because we all need it, regardless of what status and level we're at. Now, let's talk a little bit about how you came to get involved in this business before we get going with the details, Conrad. Tell us how you came to be involved in the insurance business.
Well, I've always been curious, but insurance wasn't really my thing. What happened is that, yeah, I worked for a company,
Uh-huh.
and almost like everyone I meet was asking, "Hey, do you have an insurance license? Do you have an insurance license?" And I'm like, "No, I don't." And I had time, so I was wondering, okay, why is it that everyone is asking me about insurance? So I went home. It was a Friday evening, found a place in New Jersey that offered the course, paid for it, did the course over the weekend, and went the next week and got licensed. And now I was licensed, but here's a big question, Joy. Now what?
Yes, yes.
So I worked with a friend of mine recommended me to a guy, went there, saw what they did, went out on a training with him. Wasn't really my cup of tea, so I stopped doing it because I'm like, okay, that's not really what I want to do. So even though I had my license, it was just there for a couple of years. Then I went to church, and at my church they were talking about financial peace.
Uh-huh.
Enrolled in that 13 weeks financial peace class, and when I was finished, I'm like, okay, I have my license. I think everybody needs to know about this because it's a
Yes.
way how you can get out of debt, but not just get out of debt, but be on your way to financial independence. So
Yes.
yeah, so with that said, I decided to get my investment license at that time,
Yes.
and that is really what I liked. So learning that what we were taught growing up is still applicable, even though we're living in a credit driven society. You could
Yes.
still buy things with cash.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that was a mindset change for me.
Oh my goodness. And what you ended here with that I've just received is that you found the investment aspect of it more akin to your innate nature. It was more, or it resonated more with you.
Yes, that's correct.
Ah, let me ask you something. I'm going off the rail here now, but you don't know me, but I go out of the box sometimes. You got your license in New Jersey a short time or whatever, and you worked for a short time. What was it at that time? And we're not going to knock or blast any other, but what was it that didn't resonate with you then? What was it that didn't just get you then and there? That later on, when you went for the 13 weeks and the investments and well, that resonated. What was the other that you saw that was
Well,
missing?
what the person that I went out with was telling the customer to get, he didn't have it for himself and his family.
Ooh, that's a biggie.
Yes.
Ooh,
So if it's joy, here's my philosophy. If it's good
yes,
for me, it's good for you. So I am more interested and invested in the families that I serve than my reward, right? Because Zig Ziglar says if you help enough people to get what they want, as a
yes,
byproduct, you are going to get what you want. So that is how I approach my business. It's morely, not. It's more of a customer centric approach than what. Hey, how can I get as much from this person? No, I lead with service because I think if I serve you, you're going to tell someone else about me, and then so that's how I've grown my practice.
Conrad, I love that because, and I thank you for that explanation. I hated to go off the rail, but this insatiable curiosity that I have, but the way that you express why it didn't resonate with you was crystal clear. And then that you're in the service oriented business, and that's what you lead with. I mean, that resonated to the marrow of my bones. I received that. And I know you, knowing you for the short time, that it's all about service for you. And then you discovered this financial literacy and comprehensive coaching was more like the mainstream of where you wanted to go. So let's talk a little bit. And by the way, I don't know if I ever told you, Conrad, I left the fashion business and went into the commercial insurance business and went into all of it, learned it all, got all the license, but it wasn't for me. But I had respect for the business. So that's why I love the way you express why the first time out of the gate it didn't register with you. But let's talk a little bit about investing. What do you do and what are you sharing with the people that you're working with about investing? Because all the things that you shared with us initially in the beginning succinctly, that's spot on. So what is it about investing that we all need to know regardless?
So I your listeners have probably heard the old adage that you have to leave something for a rainy day,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because the
Mm-hmm.
rainy day is coming. And I believe in it's not how much you earn, but is what you do with a percentage of what you earn.
Mm-hmm.
Most people, Joy, they pay the bills first before they pay themselves. But I highly would recommend to your listeners, pay yourself first. You are
Ooh.
the one that goes to work. You are the one that's spending the time, whether you are a business owner or you're an employee, most of it is coming from you. So you should reward yourself. Reward yourself now so that further down the road, you will be in a better financial position. So when I'm meeting with families, it's very tough. We're living in a tough time, but
Right.
I tell you something, you have to make sacrifices. So what I do is I teach them you need three types of account.
Mm-hmm.
You need an emergency fund account because we know emergencies are going to happen. But the funny thing is, when you have an emergency fund account, Joy,
Mm-hmm.
emergency it leaves you and go across the street to the neighbor who don't have any emergency. It is the
Mm-hmm.
weirdest thing how that happens.
Mm.
The second account is your short term account. And this is
Mm-hmm.
you want to buy a car, you're going to buy a home, you're saving for something. That
Mm-hmm.
is your short term account. And then, most importantly, you need your wealth building account.
Mm-hmm.
But from my experience, most individuals' wealth building account is the savings account.
Yes.
And that will never get them to the promised land.
Ooh, you said a mouthful there, my friend. Let's back up here a wee bit because I've heard this again over and over and over from different stratas, and it's always the same. Pay yourself first. That's the first thing I want to speak to. And then the three different accounts, and the wealth building is usually the savings. True. But let me ask you this, and I know you teach this, but what succinctly or briefly that you can give a titillating tidbit? Because if people are living hand to mouth, more or less, regardless of what strata they're in, most people are, how do you show or teach or tell them how to do that? Pay yourself first, even if it's a penny or a dollar. What's the strategy there?
You have to make sacrifices. But here
Yeah.
is here is what I typically ask, right?
Mm-hmm.
If for people who like to travel, if you're going to get on an airplane to go, let's say from Florida to New York, and the pilot says, "Guys, I don't have enough gas in the plane.
Mm.
So I don't think we'll get to New York. Would you get on that flight?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Most people are going to say, "No, I'm not going to get on that flight." It's the same thing here because if you don't put away enough money for retirement, then when it's time for retirement, you're not going to have anything. I know it's tough, but it's a sacrifice. And I say the beautiful thing about it is that if you set this thing on automatic, so let's say you can only afford a small amount, whatever that is for you,
Mm-hmm.
I recommend that you do it because when I'm talking with with families, I say, listen,
Mm-hmm.
simple math. If you put away $100 a month for a year, you have $1,200 at the
Mm-hmm.
end of the year.
Right.
If you're saying I can't put away anything until I have more money, at the end of the year, you're going to have zero, right?
Right.
And if you wait 10 years and it's still the same situation, at the 10 year, you have zero, as opposed to 10 times 12. So I recommend, it's hard as it is, you have to start. As long as you start, Joy, I guarantee it is going to be so easy. You'll wonder, oh my God, why didn't I do it before? But
Conrad, yes. I'm in your camp. I'm in your camp and I'm receiving what you're saying because I've heard it before and I'm a late bloomer in that regard. And what you said initially, the reason why of hand to mouth and whatever is making the sacrifices. People hold back because they're not willing or able, but you're teaching them how to make the sacrifices and why the urgency of making that sacrifice works. Because what you gave me for the third point, wealth building, most people think it's savings and it's not. I'm sure, or maybe I'm jumping the gun, but correct me if I'm wrong. I have no shame in being wrong. I bet that's the maybe the first or second or whatever hardest area for people to grasp. Wealth building, investing, where it pays off when the time comes for retirement. Would I be
yeah,
correct in that somewhat?
yes. So in order to understand the whole wealth building concept, right? I'm going to share something with the audience. So it's
Mm-hmm.
called the banker's rule. So it's the rule of 72. So what that says is that if you take your interest rate and you divide it into 72, it's going to tell you how long it takes your money to double.
Mm.
So let's say you have $10,000 and you go to the bank and you're getting 3% rate of return.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be 24 years before that 10,000 becomes 20. With that said, if you are able to invest in the global economy, right, and historically over the last 100 plus years, the market has done way more than 3%. But what you
Mm.
typically tend to hear on the on the TV is
Right.
the market is down, and people don't understand what
Constant.
the reporter is saying that the market is down. So because of this thing called fear, Joy, we are
Yes.
crippled. We want to
Mm-hmm.
participate, but
Mm-hmm.
number one, we don't have the right information, we don't have the coaching, we don't have the knowledge. So
Yes.
because of that, we're scared. So what we do, we go to the bank, we give them our money, they give us 3%, they go into global economy, they get 9, 12%.
Wow,
So so they're
fascinating.
using, yes, so they're using our money to make money, which is not, I mean, I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yes.
But I'm going to share something with you. 2 weeks ago, I went with my son to his high school orientation,
Uh-huh.
and uh, they talked about the graduating class of 2028, and they were showing you the credits that are required in order to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Financial literacy was half of a credit, Joy. Half of a credit. So I sat there and I looked around the auditorium, and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, all these kids will be leaving high school, going on to potentially going on to college,
Yeah.
becoming moms and dad, and will not get any financial education because there's more emphasis on PE than on financial literacy.
Oh my
So
goodness.
that is why we are where we are. Just imagine this.
Mm.
We're in the most successful country in the face of the planet,
Yes,
but
yes,
yet most of the population have no financial education. And
yes. Guilty. Guilty. I am so guilty. At this stage, a few years prior, just getting the understanding what you said about how we've been crippled and the fear that's instilled, the beauty and really kudos to you is that you are working to eliminate a lot of this mindset, which has to go because there's no wealth building if you can't eliminate that and get rid of that crippling mindset that majority of people live in this phenomenal country that we're in. And I've traveled all over the country, and I tell you, you can't beat it here. When we talk about wealth building and retirement and legacy, how are we going to combine and put those together and share with us a little bit of the differences and how you're enlightening people to be more in tune and aware of options and possibilities that await them?
my my favorite thing to ask them is, it may sound crazy,
No.
but I'm consulting with someone and I ask them, hey, did you brush your teeth this morning? They said yes. I asked them, do you use toilet paper? They said yes.
Uh-huh.
And you have a light bulb in your house? Yes. And there are canned goods in the closet? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
These are stuff that we're using every day. And the question I ask is, do you own any of those company?
Woo! That's a
So so what I recommend to people is look at what you're using, and if it again, it's if you can own a piece of what you're using, Joy,
mm,
that is how you're going to build wealth. You go to McDonald's, or you go to Home Depot, or you go to Publix, or wherever you shop, you buy Nike. Most of these companies that we're supporting are public companies. So
yeah,
you, as an individual, you can own a piece. You may cannot purchase a share depending on the price of the share. But if you are invested in what's called a mutual fund, your small monthly investment can
yeah,
allow you to own a piece of this company.
yes.
So that is what I teach the families that I'm coaching, that listen, you want to make sure that you're supporting American companies, because and that is by owning stock. Now, I would not tell you to take all your money and go put in one stock, and
No, no,
that's
no.
why I recommend, listen, do a mutual fund. Now, what is a mutual fund, you may ask me, right?
Tell us.
A, a
Yeah.
mutual fund, right, is the way it works is you've got a fund manager, and that fund manager may have 50, 60, 70, 80, a whole bunch of different companies, right,
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
in the fund. When you put your 100 or 1000, whatever that amount is for you, you're buying fractional interest in these different companies that the fund manager investing.
Mm-hmm.
So again, you don't have to have thousands of dollars to start, but I always encourage the start, because once you start and you realize that, wow, it's working, then what happens? Your confidence is now growing. And now until you're at the point where now you're willing to make more sacrifices because you're seeing something down the road, right? You see,
Mm-hmm.
you
Mm-hmm.
get your statement, but, and my responsibility, I don't touch your money, is to manage the person's emotion, because you're going to hear on the TV, oh, the market is down. And
Mm-hmm.
another question I ask my families that I'm coaching is, when you go to the store, do you go to the clearance section to see what's on special?
Ah.
And I tell them, when you hear the TV that the market is down, I need you to call me and not ask me what's going on, but to give me more money, because that means that things are on sale. When things are on sale, that is, if you know, that's when you buy. Because just so you know, the market is down 24% of the time, and it's up 76% of the time, right?
Okay.
Now, Joy, because we cannot time the market, what
No.
we want is, we want time in the market.
Ooh, I like that. Uh-huh.
And that is how the process works. But again, if you only have $1,000 to invest, no one is going to come to sit with you and give you this information.
Oh my goodness.
But you
Conrad, already, I'm sorry to interject and cut you off. You've already given us a lot of ammunition, food for thought, a lot of stuff to think about. The mutual fund and the everybody puts like in the pot and so on. Do most people start off with one or two, or do they lump them together like one or two or three mutual funds, or just one to start and then move? How do you advise them to go about that? To take
it
one
all
and then
it all depends on how much they're bringing to the table. So
uh-huh.
the amount of money that you have to invest kind of dictates how,
Yes.
or which fund the money is allocated in.
Wow.
But so no two persons are the same, Joy.
No, no.
So it would be a personal, uh, more like an appointment. We go over what is your goal, your time horizon. So there's a lot of different questions that we go through to find out, okay, is this person an aggressive investor? Is this person a conservative, right?
Yes,
Because
makes a difference.
yes, it makes a
Makes a big
significant
difference.
difference.
You know what, Conrad? I don't know where the time goes here, but it flies, and you are a fountain of information, which I knew. But in all of this juice you share with us, I'm so grateful. But let me ask my engineer to put up your poster. And I want to mention that your website is on that. But tell us a little bit about other things that, because we're going to end here. We already ended. We already spoke about investing and retirement, and legacy is the ending. But also, I want to mention your book, Embrace Your Fruit, which is on Amazon. And then also about your downloadable, How Money Works is invaluable. She's going to be scrolling that across. But tell us a little bit about those two items, and however you want to wrap it up, because the time goes here. 30 minutes goes quickly, my friend, but you've
Yep.
given us a lot, and we're going to make sure all your information goes up. But while she puts up your, I think she has another poster for you, and your book, Embrace Your Fruit. Talk about that and your money, how money works. I know that's what most people are going to want, the downloadable. So talk a little bit about that. We have 2 minutes.
Yeah. So the downloadable is How Money Works, and if you go to the website, you can put
Mhm.
your name and email address, and you'll get a copy of How Money Works,
Right.
and just follow what's on there. And if you need to have a more personalized touch, you can definitely reach out to me. Uh, because of this dynamic Lady Joy, you will receive a complimentary financial needs analysis. And that is where we can dive in a little bit deeper, find out what's important to you, what your goals and dreams, and see if we can get you on track to achieving your goals and dreams. Doesn't matter how old you are, I
Mhm.
recommend start. As long as you start, that is what is
Mhm.
important.
I
Now,
agree.
embrace your fruit is based on Galatians 5:22, which is the fruit of the spirit. This book, five of us came together. Basically, I
Yeah.
was asked if I wanted to be a part of it, and just was given, hey, it's on Galatians, the fruit of the spirit. The funny thing, Joy, is that we each wrote a chapter, and when you read this book, is as if we discussed what it is that we were going to write about. There
Uh,
was no discussion, but everything flow in the book. My chapter is about freedom. I abused freedom, basically, and at sometimes I was restricted, but overall, it gives me a great perspective on freedom. So I
yeah.
don't take anything for granted.
No, nor should we ever, ever. You know what I love it all, but embrace your fruit, overcoming to becoming. I mean, that's just great. The tagline there. But Conrad, you must come back again and again, because you're just full of information that we all need. Thank you, thank you, thank you. My engineer is going to shoot you to the green room, and I'm going to say goodbye, and I'll be with you in a second. Thank you so much. You've given us golden, platinum nuggets, and I thank you.
Thank
So
you, Joy,
long for
for
now.
having me.
You're more than welcome. Friends, you have an assignment. You know I love homework. And your assignment is to connect with this fabulous absolutely knowledgeable, big time humanitarian. He knows his business. He loves working with people. He gives you his service absolutely A1 plus plus plus. So your assignment is to connect, and you have all the listen. You have everything that you need listed here. Make sure that you do that. And in the meantime, know that you're always welcome here. We love you. We know that everybody's super active and we're in an Insta society. So you watch the replay, but make sure you take time to view and to connect. And know that always from our end to yours comes much, much, much love. From my heart to yours. Make this a great week. Enjoy the week. See you soon. Until then, so long for now. Cheers.